At the end of February, Newcastle United played the first final of the major cup since 1999. For 24 years, Magpies haven't felt the silverware so close, but what is even more astonishing, the fact that the last trophy of the club like Newcastle was not 24, but 55 years ago, back in 1969. It was the European Fairs Cup, the forerunner of the UEFA Europa League. 64 teams from all over the Europe, a knockout tournament, a two-match final, and a pretty interesting one club per city rule. Interesting because Newcastle's disappointing 10th place in the league did absolutely nothing to foresee a European tournament next season at St James's, but the fact that only one club from one city could take part in the Fairs Cup changed it all. Title winners Manchester City and European champions Manchester United qualified for the European Cup. Third place Liverpool qualified for the Fairs Cup, along with fourth Leeds, who were Fairs Cup holders. Only because Yorkshire club won the tournament last season, it meant two more places were available to English teams, and that's where the rule had spoken. Despite finishing fifth, Everton could not qualify because there was already a club from Liverpool. Instead, it went to 6th place Chelsea. The second one didn't go either to 7th Spurs or 9th Arsenal, because they were both from London. And even 8th was Bromwich Albion, who won the FA Cup, entered the Cup Winners' Cup. The cherished place at the fair went to Newcastle, which without expecting it all took part in the first European tournament in the history of the club. Manager Joe Harvey, the former captain of Newcastle United who led the team to the cup successes in the 50s, and it's symbolic that he as a coach won the last trophy for the Magpies. Joe became club's manager in 1962, completely rebuilt the squad and created an excellent team spirit in the dressing room. The lads were playing fast, exciting, uncomplicated football, as it should be in Newcastle. Goalkeeper Willie McFall. He regularly displayed outstanding athleticism and bravery at the feet of un-Russian attackers. His important and memorable saves were the key factor in Newcastle's success. Defense: David Craig, the Newcastle's rock wall. Ollie Burton, brilliant defender, could even play as a striker. Loved Newcastle so much that he often told the Wales national team that he was injured, only to play more for Newcastle United. Frank Clark, one of the best right backs in football, future European champion with clubs Nottingham Forest. Midfield: Danish footballer Benny Arentoft, firm favorite of the crowd with some incisive and cutting passes through the midfield. Unbreakable Tommy Gibb, as always, talent that was not destined to be fully revealed. Jackie Sinclair. Jim Scott, showing up at the right place at the right time. Attack: Wayne Davis, with his incredible ability to hang in the air with the perfect companion Pop Robson, were the lads who gave a huge headache to the defenders of the first division. Alan Fogan, a promising youngster, a substitute who made a significant role in the final. And Bobby Moncur, fabulous keeper of a black and white army. He will lead the club to the Fairs Cup trophy. Newcastle United were ready to battle. In the first round, they've got the next season's Champions Cup winner Feyenoord, almost half of the Dutch international side, and nascent teams that will conquer world football. It seems that the journey would end at the start, but the atmosphere around this match did its job. 46,000 Geordies who had never seen European football at St James's Park saw 4-0 against European top side. Harvey's team fully demolished the Dutch. This kind of courage was only enough for a home game. On the road, Newcastle was lucky to survive with a team like Feyenoord of the late 60s. In the second round, Portuguese runners-up, 1964 Cup Winners' Cup holders, Sporting Lisbon. A great result away left the home game to decide the winner. The hype for the tournament was even bigger now. 53,000 people watched Newcastle in all white robes in the style of Real Madrid defeat another big club on the Tyneside pitch. The next stop was even more difficult. Real Zaragoza, one of the most dangerous Spanish clubs of the 60s. In the first match of the New Year's Eve, Newcastle were defeated. But the most important thing was 2 goals, because in the second leg everything was decided by the away goals rule. Magpies were incredibly lucky, and for Zaragoza it was their last European match under the frightening nickname Los Magníficos. Quarterfinals and another Portuguese but less famous club, Vitória Setúbal. Arriving from the sunny Iberian Peninsula, the Portuguese ended up in a snowstorm on a St James's Park. As for United players, they were relaxed and at ease. The scoreboard showed 5-1. The Vitoria coach called Newcastle the Killers, to which Captain Bobby replied that Setúbal was a disgrace to football. No matter how hard Vitoria tried in the second leg, they still would not have succeeded. The Magpies reached the semi-finals. It's amazing how a team from 10th place could get this far when Liverpool, Leeds, Sporting, Athletic, Juventus were in the tournament. In 1969, Newcastle have been simply one of the best clubs in Europe. In the semis, the Tyneside lads got Glasgow Rangers. This confrontation was immediately named as Battle of Britain. Newcastle came to a crowded Ibrox where 75,000 spectators, 12,000 of them were Geordies, came to watch Willie McFaul's acrobatic show. The goalkeeper famously saved a penalty with a fantastic dive, and after feeling like a 10 feet tall, he managed more saves that helped Newcastle to get out of Glasgow alive with 0-0 score. In England, 60,000 fans came to St James's Park. A huge number for Newcastle soon played a cruel joke with them. The game was unbelievably tight, with a lot of X-rated fouls like in a real Battle of Britain. But Newcastle were quicker and scored 2 goals against the Scottish side. After that, the real madness began. Hundreds of drunken and angry Rangers fans ran out onto the pitch and started the riot in trying to get to the Newcastle supporters. The game was almost abandoned, but thanks to the police, it was finished. The media called this match the shame of European football. As for the result, it has been achieved. Joe Harvey's team reached the final of the FAS Cup. 7 days later, formidable Újpest came to Newcastle, straight from Hungary, home of the mighty Magyars of the 50s. Their path in the cup was not so difficult. Greek Aris, Warsaw Legia, Turkish Göztepe. However, one opponent for the Hungarians was imminent, the current holders of the trophy, Don Revie's Leeds United. Even Leeds couldn't compete with Újpest. Afterwards, Don said that Newcastle had no chance against them, because Újpest was the best team in Europe at the moment, as he said. Of course, they had elegant striker Ferenc Bene, the tall Antal Dunaj, who had a run with Eusebio for the Golden Boot, frail young winger Laszlo Fazekas, rated by Leeds fans as the best wing prospect on the continent. Skipper Janos Goros had been singled out by Bobby Charlton as one of the finest inside forwards he had ever played against. Silver head coach Lajos Barotti, boss of the national side for 10 years, was the Újpest puppet master. As for Newcastle, they were different. There was no stars, no egos, just a group of lads who fought incredibly hard for each other. The team united. It was the end of the spring. Good warm day to play the European final with a crowd of 60,000 Geordies that came on St James's Park. Goalless draw in the first half and uncompromising Újpest only increased the fans' interest. They furiously wanted the goal and got it from the man they didn't expect at all.
Gibb with a kick. Wyn Davies got a real chance. Moncur, and it's there! A goal! And Bobby Moncur, the captain. Scott on this ground had got no chance of turning for that, but it's Moncur again for Newcastle. Keeping this defence under pressure all the time. Moncur.
The captain, Bobby Moncur, rarely joined the attack those days, but Newcastle needed him, and Bobby scored his first goals in 7 years that he was at the club. The place was rocking, the fans were on the 7th sky, and then the third goal came out immediately.
Aaron topped, Scott still going, it's a goal and a good one. Jim Scott the scorer. So it rather looks as if Newcastle United go into the second leg with a 3-goal lead.
I am surprised and disappointed. This is the first time in 2 years that we had conceded 3 goals. Newcastle are much better than I expected. That was the words of the man that managed the best team in Europe, according to Don Revie. The next game was the peak of the entire season, the second match of the final in Budapest. Complacency was United's biggest worry, but everyone worked diligently to make certain it didn't take root in the minds of players with one hand already on the trophy. Certainly once the match kicked off, United didn't have time to be complacent. We patched were on the Newcastle's throws with a wave of attacks straight from the kickoff. Willie McFall was desperately trying to stop the shots and did it perfectly, but at the last 15 minutes before the halftime, everything almost went upside down.
Eddie Dunai, flick through, and Daldun is Benny with the possession. Benny scored. Benny given too much time there. That's a good ball, Gorosh. Gorosh going too fast. Most of the shot, it's in the goal. A beautiful goal. Gorosh went straight through there, and nobody made a tackle.
Newcastle were despondent in the dressing room. One more goal and it will be level on aggregates. Then it was the gaffer, Joe Harvey, in his own simplistic way reminded that if the player scored just once, the whole complexion of the game would change. We paced would need 5 goals and they would collapse. Unbelievably, incredibly, it was Bobby Moncur who did exactly what Joe said just after the minute into the second half.
Davis is there, and it's blocked away. Comes back to Sinter in the game. Monker, and Monker scored! That's Monker again! Fantastic! Monker only scored that. Costa slipping on the turf, which will now be another slip there, let's say. Come out to Scott with a turn, Scott with a shot. Ben Aronsoft, it's a goal, a lovely goal! Newcastle have equalised! What a great shot by Ben Aronsoft! Fogan almost taken out, and Fogan has hit the crossbar, he scored! Fogan has scored, Aaron Fogan, the substitute who came on.
We patched fell down. Newcastle was ahead 6-2 overall. Everything became clear.
There is the whistle, and Newcastle United have won the Intercities Fairs Cup of 1969. And what a great performance that was. So it's Bobby Monker, the captain of Newcastle United, receiving the Intercities Fairs Cup and showing it to the fans. Newcastle United, by 6 goals to 2, have won the Intercities Fairs Cup of 1969.
The bleeding races, 'twas on the 9th of June 1962 on a summer's afternoon. The Tuesday was the Amberley's and she was heavy laden. Away we went along Colwood Street, that's on the road to Bladen.
These guys became Newcastle legends. The city had an incredible atmosphere. The players and the coach were greeted as national heroes. The whole of Newcastle upon Tyne celebrated this great victory all over that 1969 summer. Since then, Newcastle have had many more memorable matches and seasons, but unfortunately there have been even more depressing defeats when the trophy was almost there. Liverpool in the 74, Keegan's legendary team in the 90s, Bobby Robson's boys who stopped near the European final, and Eddie Howe's lads who were simply not ready to beat Manchester United in a League Cup final yet. Newcastle's cup drought continues, but we hope to change the title of this video very soon and remove the words last cup away from Newcastle United.